How do you define life purpose? Purpose is being fully aligned with yourself and your truth. I learned from a very young age that in speaking your truth, that you can help other people. What was the moment in your own journey when you realized that joy and self-love weren't just possible, but non-negotiable? It's hard to trust yourself when you don't keep your promises. So these small little micro moments of self-care, sticking to those helps you to build self-trust. You said, this is enough. I don't want to play other characters. Do you remember when was that moment exactly? I just started to accept all of who I was, and the people that loved me accepted it, and the ones that couldn't, they weren't right for me.
Hey everyone, I'm your host, Anna Alyse. You are watching To Live with Purpose.
Hi friends, welcome back to Live with Purpose. I'm Anna Alyse, your host, and this is the place where each and every week we dive into the question that is more powerful than it seems. What do I want? What is my purpose? Now here's something fascinating. According to the research from Harvard and the University of Virginia, people would rather give themselves electric shocks than spend time alone with their thoughts. Now, this tells us something super important. Most of us are conditioned in a way and not used to tuning into our inner world of our thoughts, feelings, and desires. We are constantly chasing and reaching for the approval of others, what our parents wanted from us, what society says is success, what looks good on social media and Instagram. But here's the science-backed truth. When we align with what experts call intrinsic motivation and we pay attention more to our inner world of our thoughts and feelings, we actually experience higher well-being. We create better relationships. We create more joy, and we are happier overall with our lives. So we invite you here to encourage you to look inside for all the answers, to not chase constantly approval of others and think what others think. We want you to prioritize feeling and what you think and what you want your life to be about. So let's dig in and let's get clear on what you truly want your life to be about. I am so excited. I think you can feel it. Truly excited and honored to have a special guest today. She's my role model when it comes to hosting and spreading the message of positivity and empowering you to be your true self. Hi, Shari. I'm so excited to have you here. You can probably feel it.
I feel it. I'm very sensitive to energy. But no, it's amazing. Thank you for the beautiful intro. Thank you for asking me. I'm just as excited to be here too with you.
Shari Alyse is a dynamic, inspirational speaker, international best-selling author, TV personality, and unapologetic joy magnet who has inspired millions with her raw, real, and radically joyful message. With an electric blend of authenticity and humor, Shari empowers others to reclaim their voice, worth, and wildest dreams by embracing exactly who they are. No filters, no apologies. She's the author of Love Yourself Happy and the Little Book of Soul Hugs, two-time TEDx speaker, host, and executive producer of Good Morning Joy Show. With over 100,000 community members and over 10 million people reached, Shari's impact is global and deeply personal. Seen on ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC, and featured across major platforms, Shari brings truth, laughter, and soul to every stage she steps on. She is passionate about helping you stop hiding, start showing up, and live a life that's widely joyful and fully you. So tell a little bit our audience who maybe is not familiar with your work, a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
So, I experienced at a young age of 7 years old, childhood trauma. And just that journey of that you talked about it in the beginning about the disconnection and really about the reconnection back to ourselves and going inward. And that's been my journey, is that journey inward. Mm-hmm. And in that journey inward, I found what I call joy. And that is because it is the full alignment and expression of the truth of who I am. and in that space. So that is what has been the journey, which has led me to, because I've always been a sharer. It's no coincidence that my name is Shari. No coincidence, yes. And I've just always have wanted to share everything I learn, whether it's inspiring, whether it's a new fact, it doesn't matter. And so along this journey of self-healing, I just wanted everybody to feel better. My personal mission, purpose, whatever you want to call it, is from Mother Teresa, although I'm nothing like Mother Teresa. But her famous quote that says, "Let nobody ever leave you without being better or happier." And that has just been what has always inspired me. And so that led me, it's a long way of saying, see, I'm not the concise version. That led me to first acting, which was always about, on the outside, entertainment, but later come to find that that was more about validation and approval. But there was this version of me that wanted to make people feel better, and then led into speaking and hosting and coaching previously. So it's all been this journey of really helping people connect to themselves to find their joy.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't need more of that? We are actually conditioned in a way that we are completely disconnected from our true self. And I am from Croatia. I was born in Croatia. I grew up in Serbia, which is across the world. But I struggled with the exact same thing. I studied acting. I worked on a TV show as a host, and then I started feeling I was depressed, and I diagnosed with anxiety, insomnia, all these different things. I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, and I was like, I want to find out why I feel this way. What is the reason? I used to be a very happy child, and then I started doing yoga and meditation and going to that inner journey that changed my life, and I didn't even know. I was 21 when that started to happen, and I didn't even know that world existed, your inner world. Because then you learn that you actually create your reality, but how you think, how you feel, and what you do. And I knew nothing about mind-body connection, like literally nothing. And I also want to use this space and empower people to understand that they can change anything. And I know that sometimes it's hard for people who are really struggling and they don't believe that they can create the change. And I believe part of your mission is the same exact thing, empowering people to step into the true power. So I know that you mention a lot in your work radical self-love as an ultimate healer. So can you tell us, how does that look for somebody out there who is feeling unsafe and being themselves in social settings? So how would you explain that?
Ooh, I don't know why. I get emotional very easily when it comes to talking about self-love, because I didn't always have it. And even when people thought that I did, or they thought I was this version of joy or happiness, I could look around and saw that the things in my life, they were toxic. The relationships were toxic. The relationship I had with my body was toxic, my mind, all of that. And it wasn't until, which I wrote about in my book, and it's not a plug for my book, but I did write about it in my book about...
Which you should definitely read, by the way.
Thank you. There you go. Read it.
It's a great
it was really about that journey back to self because of self-love, what I discovered, and I didn't realize that I was missing that until I really stepped outside of myself and could see all those things that I just pointed out. I was like, well, if you really loved yourself, would you treat your body like that? If you really loved yourself, would you be in a relationship with someone who treats you like that? And it really started with just a simple moment, an awareness, first of all, an awareness that I was missing that. And then secondly was the acceptance of that. Because there was a lot, when you are not in a space of self-love, there is a lot of beating yourself up over, well, why don't I feel this way? And what is wrong with me? And why am I treating myself that way? So after the awareness, there was simply like, okay, this is where you are. And we're going to be okay with where we are, because now that made the journey to self-love easier without having the conflict with myself.
The first step is awareness and acknowledging and accepting. And then from there, you can do whatever you wish to do.
Yeah. For me, and I didn't know the journey. I didn't know the roadmap and what that looked like. And for me, it just began with listening. So it started with, in the morning when I would wake up, put my hand on my heart and literally go, how are you feeling? And listening about that, because I would just start the day and go through the day and not have any awareness and just go. And just being able to sit with what message I was getting. That was a form of self-love. And then asking myself in situations, if, like with men, this was years ago, like with men, would someone who loves themselves, would they text this person back? Would they, ask them, would they spend time with them? And little by little, these little micro actions ended up building what felt like, I don't know, a hug, something like this, just this container of love. And so when people came in my life, or if I chose things to do that didn't feel good, it felt like poison, because I was now beginning this foundation of just goodness around me and inside me.
That is something really truly profoundly starts to shift when you start respecting yourself and your space.
Yeah.
You do not allow people who are disrespectful for you to be a part of your life.
100%. And including yourself too. Because after I weeded out all of those people that were disrespectful or negative, I was left with just me. And I was like, we're still talking to ourselves in this certain way, or we're still taking these actions. So, at first it was like, well, it's everybody else. And then I was like, we discovered, because I allowed that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I found that, when you talk about this safety and being fully yourself, the little things that I did that exposed myself, like, as a young child, as I said, I experienced trauma. I spoke out on a witness stand against my abuser at 7 years old. Now, the fact that I lived through that was the first step to saying, okay, you are okay in sharing your truth. It took me years to get to that place. But then things like, I have hair loss, and so I wear wigs. And the first time that I exposed about that was, I think, like 2012. And I was so nervous to share the truth. And it was at the time where we were doing written blogs. And, I wrote this whole written blog about how I have hair loss. And I was so nauseous going to bed because I was posting it. I was having it scheduled for the next day. And anyway, I had to take like Tylenol PM to get myself to go to sleep. And the next morning I woke up to over 100 comments from people, from women who were like thanking me for my honesty and my, authenticity. And that was another moment, the fact that I saw like, okay, you did not die sharing your truth. You are okay. And so it was those little moments of trusting myself and exposing myself and seeing that I was okay, that I was like, all right, maybe we're not so bad. Maybe it's okay to fully be you.
And I think that is so much more relatable.
Yep.
I think nobody can relate to some perfection that is, and whenever you share something that is truly you and it's coming from your authentic self, resonates so much more with people, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I just admire your videos when you show up for your morning walks and you're waiting for the sunrise. First of all, by the way, great job on getting up early. And I was like, oh, she's already up filming a video. You better catch up, And then and then your wonderful connection with nature. I just know you have these moments when you turn towards the trees and you just say, look at how beautiful it is. And I just love that so much. It's just so authentic, and it's truly so beautiful. Then most people just take for granted, and they don't even pay attention to the trees or the sky and the flowers. And you can draw so much gratitude from that.
It's part of my joy, to be honest. I have 5 pillars of joy, and one of them is our connection to nature. And so I make sure that, because I know what that does for me, and I know that it's a way to start my day, and my body clock is just used to it now.
What time do you get up?
Between 4 and 4:30.
You're here in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Doesn't mean I go out at that time. It depends on the time of year and the sunlight. But my eyes wake up at that time every day. But I'm also like ready for bed at 7. 100%.
So tell us about your morning routine.
Yeah.
You wake up first. How does it look like?
So first, frustrated at my cat because he kept me up the whole night. That's number one. No, but it really is about waking up. I do still take that deep breath in the morning. I do. It's that connecting breath that's like, okay, because I won't lie, like I do still have and deal with anxiety. Like there is so much pressure around, it can feel like. And so I do that extra work to be able to center and ground myself in the morning, so I don't wake up all perfect. And like somebody once said, I feel like you're like come out of a toaster and you're like, wow.
That's how it seems
right.
Like you're always happy.
Yes, I know. And I make sure that everybody knows, I just had a call with someone today and I said, America's Joy Magnet, like my other half would say, film her while she's in the car, like frustrated at drivers. I'm human. I am not perfect. But the difference is that I have I have, and I also have an optimistic outlook on life. I do. It is my core. It is my foundation because I have become very aware of how everything works out always in my favor and better, always. And so there's the messy middle where the thing happens and you're like, oh, and then there's the remembrance. That's like, oh yeah, you know that this is just God, universe shoving you off the path so you can get on the one you're supposed to be on. And so it's that no longer waiting for hindsight. It's knowing that when that challenge goes knock, 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 that I go, okay, I may not understand why you're here, but I trust.
Is good.
Yeah, I trust that.
Yes.
And so that is why I'm able to keep that optimism and positivity.
You're supported by nature.
Yeah, by all of it. Yeah. Sorry, my morning routine is so hand on heart. And then I will say it, I do pick my phone up because I can't go anywhere yet because it's way too dark. So I do pick my phone up. I always look at my emails, but the ones that are work related, like heavy, I will not read them. I won't go to them. I'm just like looking for the good. I'm looking for that positive thing that's come in. I don't spend long there because it's super early in the morning. But then I get up, I do put my phone down. I go, we can look at that later. So I do that work. And then I go for my walk. And
no, you don't meditate in the morning. No meditation.
Not till I get back.
Not until
on my walks. Sorry, that is my form of meditation, is that part of my walk. The first 15 minutes of my walk is my head going, and then after that, that's when all of the nervous system, everything calms down. I listen to meditations as I walk. I listen to Insight Timer. I do all of the things, but I don't sit in that space, except I have timers on my phone throughout the day that say breath break. And so it goes off. So no matter what it is that I'm doing, I get that so I can snap out of wherever it is that I am, even if it's a good space, and take that breath.
Let's do it right now. Everybody in the audience, Michelle, Charlotte, everyone, breath in through your nose. Exhale out. Great. At least we did one today.
No, I love that. Thank you.
So today we are diving into something that could literally rewire your future, meditation. But not just any meditation. We're talking about that kind of meditation that helps you design the life you want. And yes, there's real science behind it. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, when you meditate with intention, you're not just calming your mind, you're rewiring your brain. He says, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So if your attention is always on problems, stress, or things going wrong, this is exactly where your energy goes. So here's the powerful part. During focused meditation, your brainwaves shift. You move from beta brainwave state, like stress and overthinking, into alpha and even theta brainwave state, which is more coherent. And this is where your subconscious lives. And when you're in that state, you become suggestible, not in a bad way, but open to planting new thoughts, new stories, a new future. So what does that mean for us practically? Let's say you want to create more confidence or more abundance or deeper relationships. In your morning meditation, you will rehearse these feelings as if they are happening now. So your brain does not know the difference between what you vividly imagine and what's really happening. So it begins to wire new circuits. This is called neuroplasticity. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it becoming the creator of your reality. You talk about discovering joy by reconnecting to yourself. What does that look like for someone who's never felt safe being themselves? What is that first step they can take to really show up as themselves? How would you encourage them? They maybe feel awkward or uneasy being themselves.
Yeah, well, I created a physical safety for myself. So it's different for everybody, but I have taught in the years that I was coaching, it's a self-hug. And that came to me in a really hard moment where I was reconnecting back to my trauma as a kid. And I was having a breakdown in the shower one day, and this is decades later. And I said out loud, all I wanted was a hug, for someone to say, I'm sorry this happened to you. And I heard what I call God say, so give yourself a hug. And so right then and there, never having done it before, I wrapped my arms around myself in the shower and I just cried and I hugged myself and I felt held there. So I have made that a daily spiritual practice every time I take a shower, which is twice a day because of my partner, but that's another story. But I give myself a hug every time and I hold space for myself there. I say, I love you. I got you. Everything's okay. And in that space, what happens is that then in other moments of my life where I feel unsafe, where things are scary, for a long time, I would, while some people go and take a breath break, or maybe not, I would wrap my arms around myself, and I started to feel that physical safety, and that has not left me.
That is interesting. I saw these images on you online in front of a lot of audience doing this. And I was like, this looks like a hug.
Yes.
And that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yes. And it's also, nurturing touch is a thing that actually calms our nervous system down. And I did not know that at the time when I did it. I just felt it. And then the more and more that, I was teaching and doing research, I found that literally is something called, it does. And it does that. And so I teach people that, or I help people with that. And it's important because I think we don't, number one, get enough physical touch in our lives, especially, if we don't have that kind of love around us, physical. But it really is life-changing. I say that for anyone who hasn't done it, and anyone that I've taught who has done it, they're like, that feels so good. I'm like, it does.
It does. It's so important to give yourself these boosts of self-confidence and empowerment. And it really works.
It does. And it does create that safety, like you're saying. So for someone who doesn't feel like it's okay, like that made me feel comfortable that when those hard moments would come, that it didn't matter what anybody else thought, because I had myself to come back to. And I started falling in love with myself, like who I was discovering, and this going inward really created that space for me that it became okay to fully be me.
Our today's guest, Shari Alyse, inspired me to create this segment about self-love. Let's take a look. Our episode today is specifically about self-love. So do you have any strategies or ways that you practice self-love, like daily?
I think honestly, creativity, as cliche as it sounds, is a big act of self-love. Because it is what we filter all of our life experience, how we filter what's going on in the world. And then also just specifically in the filmmaking process, being around people that you completely admire and that are going to come alongside you. Yeah, and it just kind of creates that momentum of love.
And I'm here with
Eric Hernandez.
So our show is about connecting with your true self and finding your why. So tell us, what is it about filmmaking that drives you to tell the stories to the world?
Yeah, storytelling and filmmaking is so powerful to get across a narrative. And exactly what you just said, your authentic self, is what my film is about. It's called Courage. It's about understanding your authenticity, understanding who you are, and realizing that that's your superpower.
Yes, exactly.
And so my passion is to inspire others and to show them these stories and inspire them to be themselves.
Today's episode is about practicing self-love. Do you practice self-love? How do you do it?
Yeah, from the first moment I wake up in the morning, I make sure that I get my coffee, I have my moment, I don't touch my phone too fast.
Smart.
I keep the world out I give myself at least an hour to just focus on setting myself up for my day.
Amazing.
And, the way we dress, the way we eat, having a strict diet, going to the gym, keeping up, just like you have a car, you can keep your car clean, you can get oil changes regularly, you can have it, it's the same with our bodies, it's the same with our self-love. True. And we can express it every day through every action we do.
That is so amazing. And really how you treat yourself, nurturing your mind and body really matters.
Yes.
You're watching Live with Purpose. And I'm here with beautiful Kristen. Hi.
Hi.
So our show is about living with purpose. So what are some ways that you practice self-love?
I mean, really, I think that the writing is a big part of it because it's about reflection. Self-love for me is about I call it sitting with yourself at the bottom of the well. And that means getting to know yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, why you want it, and whose or what's influence on that wanting is yours, and what influence on that wanting belongs to someone or something else. Because if you don't know yourself, and if you don't know what you want and why you want it, you'll not be able to
find it.
Really love yourself because you'll not know who you are.
So find what works for you. Everybody's different.
I think that's probably the best advice because some people pray, some people meditate, some people sweat, and I think it's a commitment to yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's the biggest part of self-love.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for you today, sharing your wisdom. You're watching Live with Purpose. We'll be right back.
So your book, Love Yourself Happy, such a great title and a great book, by the way.
Thank you.
What was the moment in your own journey when you realized that joy and self-love weren't just possible, but non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable is, I mean, we could see how our lives are without that. You know, we could see the way the disconnection in our society, we could see all of that. And for me personally, it was, I felt disconnected from everything, like my emotions with people. I always felt people at a distance. And so that's why I said, like, even with that self-hug, that would became a daily thing for me, like brushing my teeth.
Daily practice.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
How do you do self-hug in the morning during the shower? And then do you do it later?
And, yeah, in the evening in the shower. Yeah, before I go to bed. And then there were times in the beginning when I started this where I would do it randomly throughout the day if I was having a tough moment. I used it as a form, and it was self-care for me, especially as someone who felt, like I said, scared and alone and unsafe. When you experience trauma, there is a lot of non-safety. Yes.
Actually,
And self-trust became part of the self-compassion, because what I realized is that I made so many promises to myself throughout the years of things I wanted to do and how I was going to treat myself and who I would not go back to. And I kept breaking those promises. And so it's hard to trust yourself when you don't keep your promises. So these small little micro moments of self-care or self-love or the hug, sticking to those helps you to build self-trust. Which is self-love and all of that.
Yes, very important. What would you say to someone who feels their past disqualifies them from making an impact?
Like
somebody who feels pulled back, like you couldn't trust yourself, you felt, how can they bridge that and love themselves and go out?
I feel, so part of my purpose, as I said, you know, was this whole version or this of giving back, of being here for someone else to help make their journey in this life easier. And so I feel like our past is part of that journey. And me, as I began to heal, so if someone's going through a challenge, in that healing, I was then able to help somebody else that was in that. And so I say, like, put the spotlight on that, on what has happened to you, because in that is your gift. In that is part of your blueprint of what you're here to do, I believe. Because like we said, like in sharing that truth, when I shared on a witness stand, even though, you know, I was way too young to do it, but in that I ended up saving other girls that this man had done things to. So I learned from a very young age that in speaking your truth, that you can help other people. And so I feel that if people, you know, with that challenge or whatever that is, if they feel, I feel like just lean into it.
And really tap into that in order to show your greatness.
Yeah, because otherwise all of that is in vain. I feel like those, you know, and you give more power to that thing that happened as opposed to giving that power to yourself, where you can take that thing and you can turn it around and go, okay, I got this. I know what to do with this. I know how to help others with it.
So find something good about what happened. I know how crazy that might seem.
Yes. And maybe not so much in the circumstance, but even how you handled it, how you showed up in it, because there was nothing good about what happened to me.
Exactly.
Right.
But
like,
how you can use it in a positive way instead of that totally you disappear behind it.
100%. And it took me years to be able to do that. But when I came out the other side and I found that joy and I found that self-love, I realized, oh, okay, you can come from this dark place. You can come from this place where you feel completely disconnected and make the journey to joy. But it took me a long time to see that. But once I knew that, that's how I mentioned about when that challenge shows up now, that I know there is that other side of the coin to it.
So the way that our society is being designed, and it's not designed on principles of mindfulness, absolutely not. So most people are driven in a way to seek that outside approval. How do I look on social media? What other people think about me? How does success look like or should? So and they feel empty inside. Maybe let's say they even wanted to create financial abundance and like hundreds of millions of dollars, but they still feel unfulfilled and unhappy with themselves from inside because they're constantly in that ego driven reality with only wants more and it's never happy. So what would you tell them to if they're unaware of the inner world, and how would you tell them to tap into the spiritual side of themselves?
I think it starts with the question, what is it that you need right now? How can I love you more? Meeting yourself. How can I love you more right now? That, I think, and that's what started with, okay, well, now I started listening to myself. So I knew when I needed a hug. Now I'm listening to myself. I know when I need a walk. And so it just becomes that moment to just sit with yourself and ask, what do you need? How can I show up for you more? I don't think saying go into meditation, while it can, for someone it may not work. Someone else, a walk may work. Somebody, and I also say, you know, what is that thing that lights you up? And I would go even from there, like go do more of that. Because what you'll find is that the reason why so many people feel unfulfilled, no matter what boxes they check off, is because they're searching for that thing outside of them. When really that we all know that thing is in here. And when we can tap in there, which I have found from anyone that I've ever talked to, is that it's always in some kind of give back, and some kind of gift back in a way that we're using ourselves to help somebody else. It's why celebrities, you know, people that have everything we think we need, they talk about how they were unhappy, or there's a lot of suicide and depression. But as soon as they start some nonprofit or do something that give back, they feel that they're finally in alignment and fulfilled. And I think we all will be able to find that
connection.
That connection.
As soon as you ask yourself, and asking questions is also very powerful, but how can I help myself? You are already halfway of overcoming that. It's such an important question. It can literally change your life.
Yeah.
And it can be some simple thing that you need to do, super simple, and it changes your entire life.
And that's the thing. Yeah. People feel so much pressure because there's like, even when we say the word purpose, like, what am I here to do? That could weigh somebody down. And so if someone is overwhelmed right now, feeling stuck, and that journey to self-love can seem so far away, you bring it back to that simple moment of, what do you need right now? How can I make you feel better right now? And like you said, it could just be turning a song on. It could be going for a drive.
Yes.
Like, that's one of my favorite things to do that gets me out of my head, is driving. Maybe not in the LA traffic so much, but just open roads. But that is it. Like, I scream in the car. I take road trips a lot. And as soon as I get on the open road, like, I'm yelling in joy. Like, and I know, or that nature walk. And so it can be that simple.
You can go out and scream and be happy.
Yeah, and move your body. Like,
Yes,
I have
move your
found
body,
so much, like in the times that I'm really down or frustrated about something, like I don't stay in bed, because I know that as soon as I get out, even if I don't want to, like moving my energy changes my mindset. I've watched myself on walks go from like this really frustrated place to the end being like, woo, yeah, life is great. You know, I'm like, okay, maybe you're a little crazy, but it's moving of that energy. It's really important.
Using your body, so
Yeah.
important. Shari, if you could send a message that every person on the planet receives, what would it say?
Go easy on yourself.
I think everyone needs more of that.
Yes.
And write it down, put it on your steering wheel, fridge, wherever you look more often. And
The lighter and more, the more loving of the space we create for ourselves, the more we're able to love ourselves and love one another.
wonderful. And tell us where our audience can find you online. I know you get that.
Just look for the crazy girl that's like, I have morning walks. They could find me on Instagram at Shari Alyse. They could pretty much find me at Shari Alyse everywhere except on TikTok. I am the Joy Magnet.
The Joy Magnet.
Yes.
Definitely you are. Is there anything else you would like to share that you maybe wanted to share with the audience that I didn't ask you? Is there anything else you would like to say?
I just think that I'll leave with this, and it has to do with the go easy on yourself, but I believe that we can make our journeys here easier if we are more gentle with ourselves, if we are more understanding with ourselves and with each other. And I think that it's possible when we go inwards and we stop trying to find everything out there, because it will never, ever be out there.
Thank you so much, Shari, for joining us today. I truly am so inspired by your work and your hosting skills. And I know that that doesn't seem like hard being captivating on camera, but it is a skill. So you're a master of it, and I'm so honored to talk to you today. I could talk for 5 hours. We didn't even touch your books or
my show.
or a show or anything. So if you're watching, please, Good Morning Joy Show. You can find the book. Where can our audience find
On
the book?
Amazon. They can go to Amazon. It's there. It's on my website, sharialyse.com. They could find Good Morning Joy, all connected with everything that I do. And we're going on a road trip this summer.
Yes, that's so exciting.
Yes.
So if you are somewhere out there in some city and you would like to be on a show, please reach out to Shari, and we will love to see you and hear your story. Amazing work today. Thank you, Shari. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay connected to your true self. This is what we always talk about. So do not pretend that you're something you're not, and create that image of something that you think that you should be. It's so exhausting. It's so much better when you're yourself, and people will love you more and you will love yourself more. So have the courage to really be yourself. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.